Okay, good morning, everyone, or whatever time it is that you're watching this. I'm Miss M or Miss McCormick, and I'm doing this lesson with our co-counselor, Miss Fleischer. So this is for 11th graders, and this lesson is on Google Classroom. So if you go to Google Classroom, under the 11th grade, and this one is called Guard Your Resources. This is an important lesson because it talks about how to manage your time along with things like how to manage your money and make your resources last. Because as we know, we get older, we have a job, and some of you may already have jobs, but you know that you have to manage your money. You get one check every 2 weeks, or maybe even once a month, or once a week. And you know you have to make that money last and plan accordingly, especially as we get older. It's important because we're gonna have bills that we need to pay, like our car, our house, groceries, all of that stuff. And it's important to know how to manage our money and also how to manage our time so that we make sure that those resources last us. And this is just about being smart financially and with our time. So I'm going to share my screen. And as we share, or as I'm sharing my screen, we can see that this is again on Guard Your Resources, and it's success mindset. So keeping an open mind, and you can take a second to think about why that might be important to keep an open mind. When we have an open mind, we're more open to learning other ways of doing things. Pull that up a little higher. So it gives us this introduction, and it's about a student named Tavi, and she was a busy girl. So when she was only 12 years old, she started a fashion blog. Maybe some of you can relate, and maybe not necessarily in the sense that you started a fashion blog, but you started something when you were 12 because it's something that you had interest and passion about. Um, and then at 15, she turned that blog into an online magazine that had 1 million views in the first week. So for me, it's kind of easy to think about other people who have started something at a very young age and they were very successful. When you think about what you're passionate about, this might not be the best example, but I think about someone like Kylie Jenner, who's already a billionaire, and she launched her first lip kit or makeup line when she was, I don't know her exact age, but she was young, and it had sold out in the first hour or so that it had went live. Okay, moving forward, at 16, she campaigned for the president of the United States. And then at 18, she started on Broadway and gave a TED Talk. All of this while she was still going to school. So when you think about Tavi, I don't know her last name, so I'm not going to even try and pronounce it. But when we think about Tavi, what motivates someone to be able to create their own business and then turn it into a magazine, do a TED Talk, campaign for the president of the United States, all while still being a student going to school? When I think about that, I think about obviously this lesson has to do with resources. So how did she get the money? How did she have the time to do all of this while she was still had other things she had to focus on? I think a big thing or a big takeaway from this lesson can be prioritizing your responsibilities. So if you're someone who is going to be kind of going down this road as an entrepreneur, you can think about how you are going to manage your time and your money to put all that time and energy and money into your passions and start up your own business. So after completing this lesson, we'll be able to make the most of our resources, know how to plan your time week by week, and understand the difference between the lasting zone and the instant zone. I have not looked through this lesson. So when I'm thinking about the instant zone, I'm kind of thinking about that instant gratification. So let's say the first day that we get paid. Some of us may never experienced like a good, decent amount of money before. So let's say you start your first job and it's just a fast food restaurant. You get your first check after 2 weeks of working there. Are you going to put all that money into a savings account, or are you going to cash that check and use all of it on things that you've been wanting, whether it's from Amazon for a sports ticket or an event that you want to go to towards, or are you going to save it towards a bigger goal like a car? Or do you need to help out financially at home? So you have to learn how much money you need to give to your family. How is that going to work? Okay, moving on to our next slide. It loads. Okay, so part 2, don't get stuck. So we have this money, and then we have the vending machine, and it is hanging over something. So, okay, so this is a bus station story. It's a great way to think about life. If you have limited time, money, and energy during your life journey, we all know that, right? We don't have unlimited money coming in. We have to work for it, and we get a certain amount. You can work more and get more money, but not without working or having some sort of stream of income coming in. If you spend these precious resources wisely, talking about time and money, you can go where you want. If you do not, you'll be stuck, right? So we have money coming in. If we have bills to pay and we already spent all of our money, we're going to be in a predicament where we're like, okay, what do I do? Like, I'm stuck because I have no more money and I have things that need to be paid. That is not going to be a comfortable place to be or a comfortable feeling to have. So this lesson is going to help us with those type of things. Okay, 2 zones. One good way to think about your resources is to split them into 2 zones. Okay, so it's talking about our instant zone and our lasting zone. Our instant zone has a picture of candy, which kind of looks like that instant gratification. So if we take our money and we spend it all on candy, we're going to be happy for 5 to 10 minutes, maybe an hour, and then we're going to be like, oh shoot, I should have saved some of that money so I could have spent it on other things that I also wanted at that time. So here are some examples in the instant zone. Texting your friends at 2 a.m. When I was back in high school, I would do this, not gonna lie. I would do this and I would stay up late and I would be so tired the next morning for school. I couldn't focus and I would be cranky and want to sleep right when I got home. And then it was just a bad cycle. But I took a nap, so no, I can't sleep tonight. And then I'm texting friends or on social media, whatever the case was. Here's another instance on wasting 5 hours playing video games. It doesn't have to be video games. It can be something else that's not as productive as we should be doing. That 5 hours is way too long to be doing video games. It's way too long to be on social media. It's way too long to be watching TV. Way too long for any of those things. Drinking your 4th sugary soda of the day, instant gratification. Okay, we know sugar is highly addictive. It's one of those things where it makes us feel good for a little bit of time, and then we're like, ooh, I don't feel the best. The lasting zone, working out. If we work out 3 to 4 days a week, we start to see the effects of it, right? And those effects can last a lot longer than that instant gratification. Sometimes getting to the gym or getting to your sports team practice is the hardest part of actually, working out or being active. Doing your homework, it's going to have a lasting effect. You do your homework, it's routine, you turn it in, you get good grades, and it also helps you with your test scores. Helping your mom around the house, it has a lasting effect, right? When we help out around the house and we pull our weight and contribute to the household, it makes us feel good inside. It makes your parents feel good. You're living in an environment that is cleaner. You're cooking meals, however you help out around the house or however your parents may expect you to help out, even if it's financially in some sort of way, that is going to have those lasting effects. And it's also building our relationships. It's good for us to participate in things that are contributing to a bigger or greater good than just instant gratification for ourselves. Okay, life is an endless tug of war between the instant zone and the lasting zone. It's true, even as we get older, we're like, we have money. What do we need to spend it on? What do we need to budget? How do we need to save so that we can make our money last? Some people have no idea that they're in for this tug of war, that every day, every moment, they choose which zone they are in. Successful people understand the value of the lasting zone and spend their resources on things that matter. For instance, if you've ever heard that rich people or people who have a lot of money act like they are poor, and it's because they save it and they have it as kind of the safety blanket. And it doesn't mean that they don't ever spend their money on, things that they want. It's just they know when to spend it, they know how much to spend, and they know how they're going to spend it. They don't just get money and then spend it right away on, cars, houses, jewelry. They don't just spend it on that type of stuff. People who have real money, lasting money, they put it in their savings account, they save it. Sometimes people who own huge companies or businesses, you'll see them driving a car that a normal person would drive, like a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic, those types of things. That doesn't mean they're driving, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all these nice, expensive cars. So those people know how to stay in the lasting zone. Sorry about that. I'm in a closet and it's a supply closet, so someone has to get something out of it. Okay. Slide number 4. Oops. Okay, so what happens in each zone? We have consequences of each zone. Consequences consequences doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. We usually have this perception that having a consequence to something is a bad thing, but it's not always like that. Consequence is just kind of the outcome that we use to explain a situation. So we're going to select each zone to learn more. So if we click on the instant zone, people who are in this zone will not have any money saved for emergencies or important purchases. For example, even something so simple to me that just stands out to my mind is my mom always told me, when you are at half a tank of gas, fill up, because you never know if you're going to have an emergency or if you're going to be sitting in traffic for longer than expected. It's good to just be over prepared in some certain cases, just so that you don't put yourself in a predicament where you're struggling and you're on the freeway and there's a huge accident and you only have a little bit of gas and you know you're going to either do damage to your car or you're going to have to pull over and wait for someone to come rescue you, and it's going to be more money. So things that are avoidable, don't put yourself in those situations of things that are easily avoidable. It's different if you're on the freeway and you get a flat tire. You can't be, I mean, you can have your spare tire, but that's not something that's in your control or in your power. People in the zone will not have the skills to get a good job in the future because we're always living for that instant. So if you're at a job, you're expected to come in on your scheduled days and work for your time shift. So if you're at a job and you go in at 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., it's only a 5-hour shift. But if your friends text you and say, hey, I'm going to the beach today, can you come? And you're like, oh, I just won't go to work. That's not someone who's going to have a good job, because you don't know how to manage your time, your resources. You don't have, you're not living up to the expectations that other people have set for you. And that's just a hard pattern to break, especially as we get older. As we get older, patterns start to develop and they're harder to break. So it's good to have good work ethic and manage your time and your resources and your money at a younger age. You learn how to do it at a young age and you'll be set for the future. People in the zone might be overweight or have health issues. And again, because it goes back to that candy, that instant gratification where we don't have self-control. Not having self-control can be a huge thing. And same thing with discipline. If you're disciplined with working out, going to the gym and eating healthy, that discipline carries over into all other aspects of your life. So, and it's the same thing with that instant gratification. People who have problems with committing to things, people who always give in to what they're wanting and needing at that moment, or sorry, not needing, just what they're wanting at that moment, not necessarily a good thing to have. And it's harder to break as you get older. When we click on the lasting zone, people in this zone will have money saved for things that matter. Another thing my mom always told me, always have emergency money. So some of you may have seen your parents do the same thing. You might have a drawer that you have money in, and it's just for emergencies. That is not considered your fun money, and what I call it, your fun money. That's for emergencies. So you know that you have some extra just saved away just for emergencies. People in the zone will have the skills to get a good job. People in the zone will be healthy and have more energy. When you wake up early, you treat your body right, you eat healthy and you work out, you're healthier. Working out gives you more energy. The food that you eat gives you more energy. So depending on what you eat, if you're eating sugar, you might feel energetic for 20, 30 minutes and then you crash. So when they say that sugar high, it's the same type of thing. But if you eat your vegetables, your fruits, have a lot of water, you're high in protein, that's kind of the diet that will ideally give you a lot of energy. And same thing, sometimes working out, you feel super energized while you're working out and then after too. So if you're feeling tired, working out is always a good way to kind of bring that energy back, because your body releases hormones when you're working out that make you feel good inside, and they have those lasting effects. Way more energy too. Okay, so when you put your resources in the instant zone, they disappear. So the instant zone instantly go away, basically. There's a hole in the bottom. So with the instant zone, there's a hole in the bottom. When we dig ourselves into such a deep hole, or the hole is never ending, we can't come out of it. It's just really hard to come out of it, or we can't come out of it at all. So when you put your time and energy in the lasting zone, you get something back and your success builds. So if you save your money, you get stuff out of it. So in the end, it could be your ultimate goal is to buy a car, to buy a house. If you're saving your money, you will get those things out of it. You get something in return. Versus someone who just gets their money, spends it right away. You're not saving for anything. You're not going to build any credit. You're not going to have any income for yourself. You're not going to be able to purchase what you actually need, not even just what you want. So it's okay if you don't have every minute of the day in the lasting zone. We can have moments in the instant zone. For example, I was gonna say for instance, for example, I come into work this morning, one of my coworkers made cookies, one of the teachers here, and they gave me a cookie. And yes, I have the cookie. That doesn't mean I'm gonna give myself 10 cookies today. It doesn't mean I'm gonna give myself all the chips, all the candy, all the sugar that I want for today. No, I have my lunch that I brought. I'm also gonna eat my lunch. I'm gonna stay active. And yes, we can be in the instant zone, but we want to be mostly in the lasting zone. Okay, powering through. Okay, so ideally we want to stay in the lasting zone. So how do we stay in the lasting zone? What do we think? So we can take some time to plan out each week. So I'm sure you guys are older, you probably have some social media. If not, that's totally fine. But I'm sure you've heard other people talk about meal prepping. We take time to plan out, well, I won't say we, but I take time to plan out my week. So on Sundays, I go to the grocery store and I prep my food for the week because I know I don't want to take time out of every single day when I come home from work because gone a lot of the day. I don't want to spend my time cooking and meal prepping, or sorry, cooking and making my dinner and my lunch and my breakfast for that day. I just don't have the time for it. So I manage my time by taking a couple of hours. Usually it's just 1 hour, to be honest. Meal prepping my food for the week, at least my lunches, and then I'll come home and make dinner. So taking that time on Sundays, it really helps me. I know Sunday is my day to clean, Sunday is my day to cook, Sunday is my day to get out my outfits. And I do little things like that that really make a big difference in my time management. I can spend my time where I want to spend my time during the week because I already have that checked off my list. It could be something as little as planning your outfits the night before too. I don't want to wake up in the morning going through my closet and looking for what I'm going to wear, try stuff on, not like it, and keep going through the process because to me that's a waste of time. So what I do is I plan out my outfits the night before. So take the time during your week or wherever you have the time to make your life easier. I'm sure you've heard of the term work smarter, not harder. So it's all about managing your time. And same thing, if you have a calendar, it's easy to write stuff down. I use Google Calendar. I plan out my day so that when I come into work, the first thing I do is check my calendar, look at my calendar, see what I have going on for the day, and I know where I can spend my time. Okay, so fill your jar. What things should you schedule first? Imagine if you had a jar and you could fill your jar with 3 things. It would be golf balls, marbles, or sand. What is the best way to fit the most things in your jar? So what do we think? If we have golf balls, marbles, and sand, well, golf balls are bigger in size. So if we have this jar right here, it only looks like to me, maybe we could fit maybe 10, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, but you're not going to fit 100 golf balls in that tiny little jar, right? Marbles are a little smaller, so we could probably fit maybe 50 to 60 marbles in that size jar. Sand, we could probably fit 1.5 to 2 cups in there. So if the golf balls, marbles, and sand represent our time. So when you schedule a week, start with activities that require most time. So for me, cooking requires a lot of time. So that's why I meal prep my lunches on Sundays. Then I will plan out my outfits the night before. And that's just, I don't plan out my outfits for the whole week. I just do it. So today when I get home, I plan out my outfit for tomorrow. So that's the way that I do that. And then you can fit in other activities. So I know like for the gym for me, it doesn't have to be the gym necessarily, but I have to do something active just to make me feel good. So I will come home from work, wash my dishes that I brought from lunch, like my lunch that I eat at work. So I'll wash my dishes, pack my food for the next day, and then I'll go to the gym, come home, start getting ready for bed, wind down, and then I'll plan out my outfit for the night before. So I hope that kind of makes sense on the way that I manage my time. Okay, so if you are thinking about going to college and it's something that you want to do versus just jumping straight out into the workforce, and there's no, right or wrong way to do this, it's kind of just what you're passionate about, if it's something that you want to do. But we're looking at Joanna and she has to schedule studying for a math test for 6 hours. Then she has gymnastics practice for 4 hours. And then she wants to spend time with her sister, which will take about 1 hour. So she schedules her week putting in big chunks of time first. So sorry, this is went off topic, but if you plan on going to college, what they tell you is however many units your classes. So let's say, for example, you're taking a 4-unit class. Most classes are 3 to 5 units, depending on where you go. and what kind of class it is. If there's a lab, then it's a little bit more of a unit, more units than just a class that does not have a lab. Anyways, they say like if you're taking a 4-unit class, you should spend 4 hours a week studying. So when you get to school, if you're going to college and you're taking 3 to 4 classes, you really have to learn how to manage your time about what days and how many hours you need to study each class for each class to be successful. Okay, so kind of just following up and tying everything together, we really want to make good choices when we are thinking about our instant zone and our lasting zone. So if you come home from school, you're hungry, you want a snack, think about what's going to serve your body. It's not always about what tastes better or what we want. It's going to be the lasting zone for the lasting effects. So we might want a bag of potato chips, and trust me, I want them too, but I might choose fruit instead because I know that I have goals for myself. I want to feel good about myself, and potato chips are just not really in my fitness goals. I know they're not the best option for myself. Yes, I eat them sometimes, but do I want that to be my everyday snack after I get home from work? Not necessarily. I want to make better choices to feel good about myself. And then also just creating those routines. Do things that when we have routine, everyone needs structure, whether we like it or not. It might feel or look good when people don't have structure in their life, but living in chaos is not ideal. We feel and we do better, just speaking in general, when we're on a schedule. So if you have time to create a schedule or for something that can help you, which I think will, then I highly recommend it. So you come home from school, you do your homework right away, knock it out, and then you can eat dinner, have some time outside if you go for a walk or if you hang out with friends, whatever you do, if you like to ride your skateboard or ride a bike, whatever you like to do to get like just an hour of physical activity in. Or maybe you just want to sit outside and enjoy being outside. That's also good for us. And then we can come back in, start winding down, maybe watch an episode of a series that you're watching, watch an hour of TV, read a book. Those are all fine. The thing is, we don't want to be watching 5 hours of TV. You know, you can have what you want and get those moments of your instant zone, but use your routine and you will have better results at the end of the day. Okay, this is something that I really feel strongly about. So, when it says unprepared, okay, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Okay. So when we don't prepare, we're setting ourselves up to fail. And it could be with not big things in life, but just in general, everything that we're talking about or everything that we do. If you come to a game, but you never go to practice, you're not prepared. So you're going to most likely not do well. And that's going to be with everything in life. If we're trying to be healthier and we want to feel stronger and good about like ourselves, and improve our self-esteem and our confidence, we're going to need to go to the gym or do something active, some sort of activity to make us feel better. And it's good for our mental health too. So it's good for stress and all of those things. So stick to your routine. Make sure you're prepared. I know that it's easy to procrastinate, but you know what you can and can't procrastinate with. Procrastinating, I would procrastinate for 10 to 15 minutes, no longer than 30 minutes, and then do what you have to do. Okay, so at the end of this lesson, if you're following along on Google Classroom, you learned how to use your resources. Yes, we did. Our time, our money, that's really what it is, our resources. So our time, our money, our energy, we learned where to prioritize those needs and wants. And we can have that instant zone in our life because it's inevitable to me that we're going to have those moments where we are going to give in to what we want. We just can't make it a habit. So we don't want to waste time, really. That's what this lesson is all about. We don't want to waste our time. How are people so successful and we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? People will say, oh, I wake up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym, and then I come home, shower, get ready for work, make my lunch for the day, and then head to work, and I'm at work at 7 a.m. And then I come home at 5 p.m. and I spend time with my family. I work a little bit more on some things, and then I watch a show, and then I'm in bed by 10 o'clock at night. That seems like a long day for some of us. Some of us are like, how do you wake up so early and you work out before going to work? Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. It's about prioritizing what's important to you. You make time for what's important to you. So don't be doing things that are going to be a waste of time. I do think that like certain things will help get us where we need to go. And if we're just figuring things out, then that's fine too. We might have a lot of jobs that don't lead us essentially to our career, but sometimes we just need the time to be where we're supposed to be at in that time, if that makes sense. Don't rush processes either. Enjoy where you're at because you're there for a reason, is what I'm trying to say. And then check in with yourself throughout the day. Stay in the lasting zone. So a lot of this is also just being mindful where we spend our time, our energy, our thoughts. We don't have to make sense of our thoughts. They come and go. Same thing with our feelings. They come and go and they pass. But it's important to do those check-ins and just kind of have that time to check in with ourselves and see how we're feeling, where we're at, if we're holding on to anything that we can let go of that would serve us, then have those times where we just set time aside and be with ourselves. There's nothing wrong with being a busybody. I think our concern for at least in education, or my concern with people who are busybodies, if you're trying to, what are you trying to distract yourself from, or what are you trying to disconnect from, that could be leading to something deeper going on. So I really focus on, trying to implement being mindful and just being aware of things is just a huge part. And I think that helps bring a lot of understanding and peace within ourselves anyways, just being aware alone. So thank you for listening. Thanks for watching and doing this lesson along with me. The assignment for this activity is to keep track of your activities for 2 full days. I know it might seem like a lot, but there's a worksheet listed so you don't have to create your own. And just answer some of the questions. Be honest. This is not like a gotcha, like you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, That's not the case at all. We're just trying to bring awareness and more mindfulness to your guys's life to see where you're at and use these tools that we're trying to, help teach you. To see just where you spend most of your time, and then you can turn it in to your teacher or just message Miss Fleischer or myself and say, hey, I did the activity, it was helpful. Or if it wasn't helpful, then you can let us know too. We're always open to feedback on these assignments. So thank you for joining. Let me stop sharing my screen. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your days or day.